Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
Now let's look into the bonus plan. Here mainly we have two types. One is amount based and another one is percent based. Both individually. And we'll look into that in detail. I will just select a random date. There's this first I'm going to discuss about. With the one, we can name the plan anything. Normally, what are the things that we have to consider when we are going to talk about bonus planners, like mainly how we want to segregate because there are multiple bonus plans. It's not only in a normation. There is not only one of them. It can be multiple bonus plan. It can depend upon mainly job level or a grade or a region. Right. Depending on that or job profile, there are different bonus plan that gets introduced. Now talking about this bonus plan, right? We can name it. Talking about this first option, right? Like let's take an example. If there is any bonus plan which I do not want to use, I can just activate this checkbox, right? By that, this bonus plan we get inactive. In Workday, we do not have an option of delete. Because let's take an example. This is the bonus plan which has already been used, right, in the past year. And if I want to delete it, it's not possible because this bonus plan has already been used. That is the reason why we do not have a delete option, mainly in Workday. If there is any plan or any functionality that we do not want to use, we have an option of inactive. What is suggested is better to create a new plan, if in case there is any changes that we are having, right? Like see if I talk about an individual person, right? And that scenario, we do not have to do anything. We can modify it or edit. Actually, in this I have to review, like sure, the plans that you are saying, right? I will do one thing, right? As of now, I will brief you about the bonus plan, how things work, what are the things that we can do. And apart from that, what I will do is, whenever you get a free time, maybe tomorrow, I will create some plans for you. The one that you are briefing, or else there are many plans that I have in this tenant right now. And after that, we will brief you exactly like how all those things that you are briefing, like how mainly that works. Thank you. 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 Talking about the plan, right, I will define some effective rate, random effective date. Talking about this. Till now, we have discussed about different plans, right? Talking about the many of the options that you get here. It's going to be same. There will be few additional add-ons that will come into picture, which we will discuss, like what is their functionality and what specifically they are mainly used for. We'll discuss that. Apart from that, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's talk about this. Like normally, if I talk about this plan name, plan description, this is something which we have already discussed. Right. Now talking about manage basis total. This is the option that we have. Do you have any idea about this? Like what is manage basis total? See, talking about this, we have base page, right? Normally, if in case I want to use the merit plan, depending upon the base page. And that scenario, I'm not going to use the shape box. Let me give you an example of India, right? If I talk about in India, like there are multiple components that we have, like we have base pay, right? We have many like HRA, right? There are multiple different components that we have within that. Whereas if I talk about US and other countries mainly, we have the only one major component, which is nothing but the total base pay. If in case I do not want to use the base pay and if I want to use in the merit increase like total primary compensation, right? With respect to the worker and that scenario, we normally use this manage basis total. Normally talking about this, when we do the compensation review process, right, they will automatically allocate the amounts to all to the individual plans that we are setting up depending upon the worker's primary compensation basis. Now talking about the second option, allow target override. This field is available. Let's take an example wherein I want to request a compensation change, right? With respect to that, and there's any specific target that I want to fix it. Whereas, let's take an example. I am defining a target over here. Maybe there might be some multiple scenarios that I might come across during the merit plan, right? Wherein the target can be changed at the latest stage. If I want to override the target at the latest stage, I will not use this. Check. I will keep this as it is. If in case I want to override, I will use this checkbox or this, I will ignore that. It completely depends upon us, like how we are setting up entirely. Now talking about this higher high targets from security groups. Talking about there might be some group of people, right, from whom I want to hide the target. Like let's take an example. Maybe a recruiter HR partner on some any respective group of people. For those group of people we can mention there are respective security groups. The target will not be visible from them. Now talking about this target percentage. Talking about this, here we have to define like what is the target percentage that we have, like a recommended for the company. That is the company's performance target percentage. For example, let's keep it as 50. Here we have an option of mentioning the percentage, right, till whatever decimal point we want. Like there might be a scenario like a 40, 57, any respective. We have an option to enter up to 4 decimal places. This is mainly about that. Talking about this value, what they mainly uses it if in case there is no target defined. We have an option. We can keep this as 0. I do not want to set up any target. I can individually because I have come across multiple merit plans where they do not define the target, because we mentioned about the GDPR, right? Because of that as well. Or else in the other scenario, what they do is they define it and they restrict it with the security. Because this target doesn't do. This is just for a reference purpose. There is nothing. My question here arises here. If I am putting 50%, that is when the Workday will auto compute for the rest of the 1000 employees, right? Correct. If I'm not, if I'm putting it as a 0 just because, like for GDPR issue, I don't want to do instead. I could have set like high target for security groups and I just still put as hunt 50%. Now coming back to this reference currency. If I talk about this reference currency, right, this is mainly, let's take an example. I'm talking about a European countries, right? There the currency is in Europe, whereas my company's headquarters is located in US, right? I want to have a reference currency wherein I want to see all the changes and with respect to US dollar, right? That's an area of reference currency. I have a question. Most of the companies. I remember I have worked with another company before where the headquarters in the US. The overall currency value, irrespective of multiple job geographical locations they were in, they always multiply and calculate their value of incentive plans or any of the merit plans or compensation plans in USD currency. Although the employee is working in India office or say like Hungarian office, the local currency, for example, if it is like Hungary, it is like Hungarian forint, although it is under Europe. That will be their secondary currency, but their reference, the core currency value of their target achievement. Everything will be in USDs because they are headquartered in USDs. In such case, how will you do? See, talking about like countries of different workers of different countries, right? It will work based on their currency only, right? Whatever percentage, whatever we are defining, it's going to work on that basis only. But still, with respect to that, we will have a reference. We will have the amount in the reference currency as well, which is nothing but USD. If in case I want to use it in if I want to have this and maybe some other currency, I can use that as well. For example, 5 different countries, each of it of 5 different currency values. Should I put it as USD and also add euro and also everything of the currency in the reference currency value? No, you have only one option, right, to have only one type of currency, that you cannot have multiple currencies for one merit plan. The Workday does the conversion plan there of the currencies. That's what I wanted to do. It also answers my other question. If my headquarter revenue is mentioned in USD just because my company was headquartered in USA, that doesn't mean it is going to have a. It means like Workday will take an auto conversion value for rest of the other locations. They are globally expanded with and do the calculations. Got. Thank you. And this is an annual. This is something which we are discussing about. This merit plan is nothing but a percentage basis. Right? We have two types. One is amount based and second one is percentage. Percentage. And talking about this target percentage that I was briefing about. Just wanted to reconfirm with you because you were mentioning about the overall. This target percentage is nothing but like, let's take an example. I am defining like we will be getting a D performance, right? Where we will have a different grading based on the gradings. We will define the percentage. Let's take an example here. The percentage that we are going to define. Let's take an example for some worker. I have not defined the percentage. In that scenario, this will by default this target percentage that we are defining over here. Normally, the other scenario why it is 0 is because to whomsoever I want to give the or consider within the merit plan, right? The percentage will already be defined, right? It should work on that basis. That is the reason why this has been kept as 0. Whereas if we will be creating another merit plan which is of amount based, then you will have an option of amount here rather than having the target percentage. After that, we have subject statutory minimum. Any idea about this? The meaning of this is this applies only for the percentage based merit plan. Mainly talking about this. If in case we chooses this option, this indicates that the plan is subject to statutory increase. Means there will be some increase. If in case we want to define a minimum, there like in some scenarios we have some default, right? Like there will be an increase for all the employees. Whatever percentage it's going to be. This is for those specific scenarios. And this mainly comes into picture when we start the performance review process. So, the competition review process. Now let's discuss about compensation methods. Now let's discuss about compensation method. Right. What I've been asking. This is what I've been asking. Thank you. Mainly talking about this competition metrics, right? We defined like we have different ratings, right? That we defined, right? Talking about rating scale. Rating scale is something in it's up to us, like in whichever way we want to create the rating scale, right? Depending upon, because different companies, because you mentioned like we have a 3-level rating scale. Some companies have 4 levels, some companies have 5 levels, some companies have 10 level of rating scale. There are different rating scales that we have available. If in case I'm going to create my own rating scale, the task name is, normally if you have the Workday tenant access in your company, you can go to all this and you can review that. That will give you better idea. Compared to this practice tenant, you don't have to create anything. You can just review that. You can define the rating scale name. And the way that we saw here, you can create your own rating scale. Like here, we have 6-level rating scale where it starts from 0 to 5. You can see here, we have here an option of exclude from calculation. This is because employees who will not be eligible for the annual performance in a merit plan for that particular annual, maybe because they joined recently or they were in maternity or any of the leaves. If you see here in the description, they have clearly mentioned employer has been in the position for less than 3 months at a time of review. We have to define the rating. This rating value and this beginning and end range is very important. This is something which we can set up as per our convenience because different lines set it up differently. Talking about this rating value, this is something which we can give us, right, in whichever way we want. Some companies give 5, the least one the highest, right. This is just because you will get the normal distribution curve, the bell curve. Correct. But let me know, because most of the companies, they have come out of the bell curve. For example, if I speak here in European markets, if I talk about bell curve is very strong in Indian market. May almost like 80% of the companies still use bell curve. But let's say companies like Boston Consulting Group, or because the companies here in European market, if anything that does by Boston Consulting and Amazon, they do try to implement that for the companies immediately, because the success ratio is more in terms of retaining the employees, especially the retaining the talents. In such case, this normal distribution is only for our reference point of understanding how much percentage is going to be equally distributed based on the rating, right? And it has nothing to do. Sometimes my company will not believe in bell curve, but this doesn't need to answer that question. But this is something mathematically or statistically, this is required, right? Right? Because I'm going to take this with my management board. They are very emotional decision makers. They will nullify it the moment I bring this to them. I know like you and I are going to speak based on statistical math, but they say like, why are you bringing bell curve inside this or a normal distribution inside this? I just wanted to understand what would be the difference of having a normal distribution in this, having a rating value with a beginning and the ending range, with that of the company's overall perspective, of having something like SMART goals or no bell curve goals, just like having a 360-degree feedback and getting on the overall scores. What are the score they are getting out of the total threshold? That will be their merit value. It will be converted into the percentage of merit, and that will be given as a merit value or a merit increase for the employees. This is most of the companies they are doing. I wanted to give them a very regulated answer. I just wanted to understand your methodology here. With respect to this rating thing, right? Exactly. See, it's completely a different perspective, right? Because see, if I talk about the clients with whom I have worked, all of them you have been using the same way, irrespective of their standard above 360 feedback or force methodology. Because see, there is a reason, right? Because mainly if we talk about different scenarios, like you mentioned about BCG, right? Mainly what they do is they want to do things in the different way because they have their own perspective. Let's not get into that. Exactly. Because they always think like going towards the other thing is better when following the common ways, right? Because as I said, right, like everyone has their own perspective, but talking about most of the clients that I'm talking about, right, they want to keep things simple, easy for understand from. If I talk about from the reporting perspective or from any other perspective, they want to keep things very simple and standard for life. That is one of the main reasons. Like most of the clients that I have come across, they stick with that. Because see, if in case they make any changes, right, after that, maintaining that will have an issue. Read. I also have this in example, the company's compensation philosophy. Any of the rating, the performance metrics is everything. It all starts with the company's compensation philosophy of having pay for performance. The company, do you remember we discussed about the 50th percentile, the min and the maximum range and the compare ratio in our first training session, right? In that case, every company has a compare ratio value, which is their total compensation philosophy. And most of the almost like 90% of the market holders, they always wanted to have 50. They wanted to sit in the average, the market average, which is 50th percentile. That would be their compensation philosophy. And there are institutions where they have two compensation philosophy for me skills. They will extend from 50th percentile to that of the 95th percentile based on the other geographical scenarios or niche skill value and other aspects. Let's take that out also as a parallel ground here while you decide a merit matrix, because that will be an anchoring point and that will be more like a mind mapping point where it will channel. The compensation philosophy will channel not just the career architecture or the organization's job architecture or job catalogs of the organization. It also parallelly implements in making the organization decide on merit increase, because this is not just going to be based on their performance increase. While I'm doing this annual increase, you might know as a scenario of being a consultant, like HRs will be implementing, their managers will be implementing some structural bonus on top of their performance bonus or performance merit. There are like something called structural increase on top of the merit increase. For example, a person is exceptional for some performer. Say like in this rating, it is an outstanding performance. He has been rated 5. Best based on this rating scale and the file. And also his compare ratio is below the market level already. Say like out of the 100 of the compare ratio which needs to be market position to the market is known as 100% of the compare ratio. And if the person is say like he is below the 70th, below the 40th percentile, that is he's an outlier already. In such case, the company will also give a further structural increase. The structural increase will be on top of the 5. Say like for the outstanding performance, say like they're going to give 6% as a merit increase on top of it. They will try to override by having it with an additional 10% and make it as a 16%. Correct? Which is equivalent for a performance equivalent to a promotional increase, but the person will be still being at the same position but will be given a promotion level of increase. In such case, how I'm going to do it in Workday, because I know how to do it in success factors, but I'm figuring it out how to do that here. See, I mentioned you about with respect to this merit plan, right? Here we have target percentage, right? That is an allow target over, right? Normally we can keep this target percentage as 0, but talking about this allow target override, right? Because the scenario that you mentioned, right? I have a fixed percentage for a specific grading. Like if you are talking about 5 outstanding percentage, minimum is 4 and maximum is 5. But I have a scenario where in the worker to whom I want to give, it's going to be 15% more than 10, right? That's we use the override functionality that we have, right? That is the reason why normally in the merit plan allow target override SES. Exactly. Some clients. I have a question. Let me complete it because it's a continuity. Sorry to interrupt. The structural increase, I said, right? For example, if it is offer, I remember I did a structural increase in my past organization I worked with. And for example, say like 20,000 employees were my headcount in my past organization only for European market, right? And when we did it in success factors, it was one such similar scenario where only out of the 20 thousand, they were like 15,000 of employees who are eligible for a merit increase for that particular annual. And for the rest, right? In that only 50 members were given a structural increase because they were identified as potential outliers, because usually we don't give a structural increase just because they are below the comparison. We also see multiple remuneration factors that clicks on for the employee, for example on the tenure, on that of the new skill that he possesses, the last learning skills, and also their performance for not just this year but also for the consecutive years. There were like certain remuneration aspects also we look upon in such case. The structural increases are only for 5 to 6 members or 10 to 12 members in most of the organization. Do I do that? Actually increases. Maintaining it as a separate create structural increase, like how I create a merit plan, or shall I include it in the existing merit plan itself? See, if in case it depends upon the, like you mentioned, there are 50 workers, different workers, right? It's better to have another a merit plan for those specific group of workers, right? That's what I would suggest. Example you suggest me. Say like fine Shami, as you said, like you do. You said like 50 members out of your 10,000 employees are going to get structural increase. You exclude them from the existing merit plan that you maintain for the entire 10,000 employees. You exclude those 50 members itself and create it as a separate merit plan with a structural increase percentage also. It will not. It will allow you to override wherever it is possible, and the rest will go on a uniformity. That's what we suggested. Because I just wanted those suggestions, because that's why I asked that particular questions, because these are the scenarios I am going to handle and I've been handling. I wanted your expert advice there. If my logic is right, see if it's a matter of few employees, that is a different thing, right? But if it is a number of employees or more, and the percentage that is going to be a pretty much random for different group of people, right? And that's in a way we can use that. And in some of the companies, what can I also create rules? Can I also create rules where the Workday will auto identify such structural increase? That is the option that we have here, plan eligibility. Whoever will be eligible for this specific plan. I can include a compare ratio. There is an eligibility rule, if I'm not wrong. Fantil, that's what I wanted to know. Now we're talking about the other scenarios that I was briefing, right? Like, I've come across some client like if in case there are a few workers and who they want to increase more than the defined percentage, right? They do some ad hoc. We have no ad hoc because I have come across multiple clients. And others want to make such major changes within this because that will not look good when compared to different workers, right? Employees like the other worker is getting 5% increase. He also got the 5 rating. The other worker also got the 5 rating, whereas he is getting 15% increase. Right? And for avoiding that scenarios, what mainly organization does is they do not do it immediately. They will ask them to your competition will be increased by this much additionally, but it will be an ad hoc which will take place maybe after a month or maybe before a month from that date. That's how mainly they manage by ad hoc. As I said, right from client to client, things changes completely. We have to keep things in mind like how things we want to do. Everything is feasible. Talking about this rating, still this is something which normally you will not have to create anything. You just have, this is just for a reference purpose. Here in the description, everything will be mentioned, right? Like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some of the clients only have 3 rating scale. Some have 10 rating scale. It depends. It's compared to us. Talking about this is the rating value. This is the beginning grades and this is the end range. You might be observing why. It started from 0 to 1, again from 0.1 to 2. This is how main data setup. We cannot have 0 to 1, again 1 to 2. It will collapse. Let's take an example. If in case I have a worker who got a rating of not a rating, someone who got a range like this will be contradictory, right? If in case I'm starting something with 0, ending with 1. I got a distribution range of the beginning and end range. It doesn't override. Apart from that, here you can see depending upon the rating scale, they have defined the minimum and maximum percentage. It's not a range of the minimum and maximum. This is the minimum and maximum budget simulations they do. Here is where my question came. You remember quite some time. I asked how I determined the budget simulation because the minimum, the maximum range, you see the 4% and 5% right. 5 is the maximum percentage of merit increase and overall organ across the overall organization. We are going to distribute. How is it the for feeding this on me? Allow Workday to calibrate this percentage. It is going to be me who is going to calculate it and simulate the budget on the distribution forum, right? Say like my company has performed only 21% out of the 100, which is below the target, way below the target. We have literally dropped in the market, if that is the scenario, right? How I'm going to distribute? Ensure that 5% is going to, because back then the 5% will not be the eligible option for me as a maximum option. I can only give 3% as a maximum merit option for my thing. How I'm going to simulate it? That's what my question is. You understand my question? Like the company is achieving at 100, I can keep the maximum as 10. And there is a particular C, the budget distribution, right? The merit budget distribution. And what is the merit matrix? It is none other than you're going to use the pay for performance based on paying the high performer, the maximum, and pay nothing to the least of the performer. That is a merit matrix logic, right? In such cases, the merit matrix. And based on that value, you have a merit matrix, you have a matrix midpoint. Say like you from the ratio of 5 till 1, you keep 3% as the midpoint of the matrix. There is a merit matrix formula. If you can Google it, you can see right. If you can Google the merit matrix, that will be helpful. You understand, like you have the magic numbers in math, where you just put multiplying of the fractions and, based on the fractions, the min and the maximum range for all the overall 3 rating scale. It will be more like a tabular column where your rating of 0 to 5 and also the comparison ratio will be in the column ranges and the rating will be in the row ranges if you search for the merit matrix and you will do the mathematics content. I can explain you better if you can just see some Google template. You can just go with the images. I can just pull it up one random. This is what I'm telling. Can you just see one? Can you see the math? You're doing it. How to create a merit matrix. If you can see this, you can get me the range. This is what my budget simulation is. This helps you to give you the range. If you can just see this, if you can zoom in a little bit, I can explain it to you. I just want it. I wanted to create this data in my advanced compensation because it is not going to be done by the HRBP. It is not my job. This distribution of money because this is the percentage based on the target achievements. I do the budget for sitting with the finance team. I will be determining the merit matrix. How I am going to determine the merit matrix matters me the most. The rest is all. What you've shown is something will be the least. What you showed can be the next overview. I'm just asking the fundamental, how you do the distribution related to this merit matrix, right? Exactly. I mean that. And what you're referring about is like talking about. I'm talking about this structure. The 5% you're saying, right? Can you scroll down? You're talking about this percentage, like how this gets calculated. Here, we do not have an option of like, for example, like we have to put in manually here. I will calculate. I will calculate it based on my company's target achievement. I have a separate merit matrix. Don't I have an option called Create Merit Matrix here? That is what we are doing, right? This is competition matrix only that you are referring about. Can you just have something called merit grid? Merit grid is something different. Can you just search for merit matrix or merit grid or merit matrix? I'm just asking if I'm missing anything that can be good. There's no such thing as merit matrix. Oh, give me one. It is there, merit matrix composition matrix. That's what it is coming, but it's not as a task. Then I have to. What do you suggest me is I have to calibrate it. I have to calibrate the budget simulations manually based on my company's target. And I have to just edit the options like min and max here. That is what, because usually I do it in success factors where it auto completes when I just do the simulation factors. It do the factorials there itself. That is one of the important factor. And it is one of the important move for me to do the fundamentals. What is success factor? The merit max matrix template that you were saying, that was being done automatically. For example, I'm putting you have something called performance matrix, right? Where you put the rating scales. And also I will say like this is the overall company's target achievement. like 21%, and this is the overall budget. We have say like each of the department or the business unit is the overall business units. We have say like this much as a budget. They're like 95 million as budget or 10 million as budget. Let's keep that. 10 million as a budget for the merit increase. How we are going to distribute the 10 million uniformly based on the different performance rating scale. On what percentage you're going to distribute the 10 million as a merit for all the 10,000 employees at a particular percentage for each of the rating scale. That matters. And how much you're going to keep for your promotional and succession planning increase, and how much you're going to have something as a special elements where you have an option to override and adjust the ratios. This is what you're going to do, because if I do that as step 1, what you're explaining to me right now, right? That can be ideally my step 5. That is, in fact, this is my final step while I'm going to calibrate it. I'm asking the fundamental how I'm going to do that because I have that option in success factors. I wanted to understand how you do that in work. I will check that. Yes, please. Because that is more important to me compared to this, because this is my step 5 ideally. I wanted to know what would be my fundamental, which is step 1, 2, 3 and 4. I get to know my step 5 here. If my previous steps are well known for me, this will not be a question for me at all. This I can work, but I wanted to know my initial 4 steps. I don't want to jump into the step. We'll look into that, like how whether that is feasible or how that works. Because I'm also making a note here. I'm just taking a personal note. It will be really helpful if you can take a note. We can just cover those topics, and you can help me cover those topics in our upcoming sessions where we can squeeze in and finish those. That was about the competition matrix, right? What I was briefing. It was a related to compensation matrix that we were looking into, where we defined the rating scale, and depending upon the rating scale, we define the percentage. Apart from that, if I talk about this, use as reference only, right? This is something which we choose if in case we want to opt in the compensation matrix. If in case I do not, I have mentioned updated the compensation matrix, but still I do not want to do this. I can use this as use as reference only. And whatever we are, this will be like whatever I'm doing as in a manual comp merit matrix. That will not be, what it will take into account, and the existing merit matrix will be just for example factor. Right. And what is the rounding rule and the time progression rule? This will be time progression right from the Jan till December of the employee's monthly salary increase. Right. I'm talking about the rounding rule, right? Like talking about the amounts that will come into picture, right? How we want to round it. Certain decimals, it will be like 7.97. It will just convert it as 100 and complete as the round number. Correct. There are different rounding rules that we can set up, because we always want to avoid that decimal value exactly final stage, because maintaining that becomes a very big problem. Absolutely. Talking about this eligibility rule, like we have looked already into this, like we have looked into different plans. For talking about this merit plan, which are the group of people who is going to be eligible. Like for now, it will be job profile, the country, the department, and also the hire date and the compare ratio, the part of eligibility rules, and also the rating. And talking about this waiting period. Waiting period is something that, let's take an example, as we are aware, right? like normally. If in case this merit cycle starts in the month, then we have Jan. It gets effective from Jan. We want to exclude at least the worker who has joined in the last 3 months, right? Exactly. Anybody who joins after 30th of September will be defaultly not eligible for the plan of the merit. This is majorly used for the waiting period that we want to mention, like for anyone to get eligible. I have one scenario. Just let me know. For example, if in Europe countries there are like a part of sign-on bonus. There is also like during the time of the employee hiring, right? We would have promised the candidate like after your 6 months, you will after your 6 months of your probation. Once you pass down your probation, you might get a salary increase, which has been planned as 10,000 increase of what is the existing salary. In such case, it will be part of the merit. In such case, this is going to be a part of the structural increase plan, right? It's completely up to us. Like how, whether we want to consider that in the merit, how we need to do them separately. In such case, can you please let me know how you can do the promotional increase also as a part of the merit plan? There are like many things, like the annual merit cycle has two things, the off cycle and on cycle merit system. Off cycle is majorly for some people who are like exceptionally well, they have something like promotion or succession planning. You remember the other day we discussed on succession planning, and in such cases how we are going to do in this merit plan for promotionally increase, and also like succession planning increase, how you do it here. See, normally what we do is there will be two plans that will run into at the same time. One is going to consider them within this like ongoing one, and the promotion that is going to happen, it will be a different one. That's how mainly we segregate. We do not do it in the same one. It happens at the same point of time. Everything goes accordingly, but talking about the plans, it will be different. My question again, let me reframe my question. For example, I have an employee. The employee is also eligible for an on-cycle and off-cycle. For on-cycle, I'm going to give her an increase based on her performance rating of the particular annual, and which will be say like in India. Let's take India as an example, or let's take European market. Their increase will be effective from next Jan onwards for them. Anything like Jan to December will be the performance period, and that will be evaluated, and that will be ultimately paid out. The new merit increase will be effective in their salary right from March, which is like from quarter 1 onwards. If that is a scenario of the payroll system, and compensation scenario, say like she's getting a maximum of 3 rating. Let's keep like 5 rating. She's getting a 5 rating. She gets 5% of merit increase on top of it. The upcoming cycle of off cycle, which is going to happen in the month of May, which is immediately at Q2, she'll be also getting a 16% of increase, which is a promotion based increase on top of her 5% of merit. In such case, how are you going to do it? It's going to be like a bulk change. Or can I have something like there is something like an accrual period for her where I can maintain in the comments. Correct? That's how mainly we carry, right? Because here we are talking about on cycle and off cycle, right? For off cycle, it works in a different way for on cycle. It will go through the merit process that we have for talking about the off cycle. We can normally there are multiple ways by which we can do it. Sometimes it is run via EIB, right? In some scenarios, we can run like if in case there are individual employees, then we can do a change job, and we can start a promotion event that is available over there. Can you just show me how you do it? If not today, by next class tomorrow, let me randomly open some worker. Let's take an example. I want to promote this work. We'll go to the actions. Here we have an option of change job. Job transfer, promote, or job change. There will be some basic details which you will be asked, like when do you want this change to be effective? Whatever effective date you want to choose. Let's take an example. You want it to be from 1st of November. Why are you making this change? That will be like promotion, increase in responsibility. After that, I have to define who is going to be the manager, right? If in case it's going to be the same manager, we can just choose in the same one. Let's take an example. I'm just choosing something. The Workday will automatically pull in the next job, architecture or hierarchy by default. And which team will the person will be on after this change. This is a practice and right. There are many things. There is an error. Let me do it for someone else. This is how it happens. There will be another tab that will open up related to compensation for someone. I am just checking again. This is an org structure, right? There is a dummy one that someone has created. That is the reason why the change of, because there are many things that gets interlinked. Business process would be configured correctly. The error that we got was related to that only the business process was not configured. Configured? No worry. Let me try first. This is a real value ratio, right? Most of the companies, we never give them an increase in their merit because they are already above the red. They are already a red circle employees. You get to know, right? What are green circle and red circle? In such case, they are already a red circle and we need to do a grandfathering. You know what is grandfathering, right? We will not give merit base increases on that of their base salary, but will give something like lump sum. Lump sum amount like one-time payment for them because they are already above the merit in their, above their comparison when compared to other peers in the particular job grade. And we don't have immediate promotion because the person is not eligible for a promotion. And also this person is not eligible for a thing because in Europe there are employees who work until their age of 63 and 64 years. And in such case they are going to get retired, right? In certain aspects, the countries, based on the employees, longevity in the company and also on their performance. They will also override it to another 3. 4 years like a part-time employee. There are like multiple scenarios. In such case, the company will not give them a merit increase. Excuse me, but will give you a lump sum. How I can create a lump sum increase as a part of the merit payment for the employees. What we will do, we will exclude those workers from the common merit plan that we have. We will have another merit plan where there will be those specific workers only within the eligibility room. And we do the amount based, right? And we will clearly mention the amount, right? That's how many we can do. All the 1000 employees rating and their compare ratio, the new compare ratio and a merit rating and merit percentage. Everything will be distributed and will be visible as a data for me. In such case for lump sum, I will give some special cases as a comments. And also while I was working in success factors, the lump sum right. It always allows the manager to go on a lump sum. If the manager is rating this person who is already above the compare ratio, right? We create a rule saying that if the employee is above the 100% of compare ratio, if the manager, that is the existing compare ratio, is 80% each. On giving the person as a 5% of merit increase just because he is achieving above the targets by the manager and managers willing to give him a 5% of merit increase, that will increase his new compare ratio to 11-10%. Each means that is already hitting the merit threshold value. By default, the system will configure it into lump sum value for the employee and immediately will create a pop-up button for the employer, for the manager, saying like, this person's compare ratio is higher based on the amount or the percentage value you have given for merit increase. By default, the employee will be given to a lump sum because they are already above the compare ratio. We can create such rules in Workday. Can I create such rule where the system will auto-populate for the manager saying like, hey, you are giving more than the budget. This employee is because he is already above the compare ratio. This last compare ratio 95% and this new compare ratio is 110. It is not eligible for a merit increase. This person will be eligible only for lump sum increase, which is one-time settlement. Can we do like that? How you create that? Normally, first of all, what do we do is, first of all, we restrict that through validation in the business process. If in case the compare ratio is going above 100%, right? A notification will be triggered to the manager. Oh, that's what? How I create a notification trigger. That's what I told you, right? When we'll discuss about performance review, right? At that point of time, we set that up. Those are the basic rules. We set it up at the initial stage. There are many. Normally, validation is nothing, but I'm putting some restrictions in the process, right? If in case they satisfy certain conditions, then only it is going to work or else it will not work. And most of the areas, what you have discussed, like the performance during the performance validations, this is all done by the total rewards team. It will not be given to the HRB piece at all. Correct? There is again like whether you talk about notifying which person, like from which person, or which person is supposed to take the action items on those. All those things can be set up to those respective person. It's not only specific that it will go to only HR person or anyone. We have all those limitations that we can set up. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.